They disappeared without a trace. Could you have survived the last days of Roanoke? We're taking on the ultimate historical survival challenge, recreating the hardships faced by those fabled colonists. Prepare to see the grim realities of their existence, and perhaps glimpse their tragic end. Welcome to the Forgotten File. In 1590, an English expedition returned to Roanoke Island, off the coast of what is now North Carolina, only to find the settlement eerily deserted. No sign of struggle, no bodies, no clues, except for a single word carved into a post. CROATOAN. For more than 4 centuries, the fate of the lost colony has haunted historians, archaeologists, and dreamers alike. What happened to those men, women, and children who vanished into the wilderness? Did they perish, assimilate, or escape to a new life? Or did something far more mysterious befall them? The stakes were enormous. Roanoke was England's first attempt at a permanent colony in the New World, a bold gamble for glory, wealth, and survival. But for the 115 colonists left behind, it was a daily struggle against hunger, disease, and the unknown. Imagine leaving everything behind, crossing a vast ocean, and landing in a world where every day could be your last. The dream of a new beginning quickly turned into a fight for life. Could you have survived the last days of Roanoke? What would you do, faced with dwindling supplies, uncertain allies, and the constant threat of disaster? To truly understand the mystery, we're going beyond the history books. We're stepping into the shoes of the lost colonists, living as they did, and confronting the same brutal realities. No modern comforts, no guarantees, just the raw challenge of survival in a land that offered little mercy. The first challenge: shelter. The colonists arrived with little more than what they could carry. They built crude houses from local timber, their walls thin against the biting wind and summer storms. Next came food. The supplies from England ran out quickly. The colonists had to hunt, fish, and forage, learning which plants were safe, which animals could be trapped, and how to stretch every last crumb. But the land was unforgiving. Crops failed. Game was scarce. The forests were thick and full of dangers, both real and imagined. Water was a constant worry. Wells could run dry or become contaminated. Streams might be miles away, and every trip outside the settlement was a risk. Disease spread quickly in the cramped, unsanitary conditions. Fevers, infections, and malnutrition claimed lives silently, one by one. And then there was the loneliness, the sense of being cut off from the world with no way to call for help, no promise of rescue. Can you picture it? The endless days of hunger, the cold nights, the fear that every shadow might hide a threat. It's no wonder that hope began to fade, replaced by desperation and doubt. But the greatest mystery remains. What happened in those final days? Some believe the colonists tried to reach the nearby CROATOAN island, seeking help from the local Native American tribe. Others think they split up, hoping to find safety inland. There are even theories of conflict, either with neighboring tribes or among the colonists themselves. But the truth is, no one knows for sure. The only clue left behind was that single haunting word. Imagine the heartbreak of watching your family grow weaker each day, of making impossible choices just to survive. Some may have chosen to leave together, risking everything for a chance at life elsewhere. Others may have stayed, clinging to the hope that help would arrive from across the sea. As we recreate their struggle, we face the same questions. When do you give up on waiting for rescue? How do you decide who stays and who goes? Every decision carries a cost, and every day brings new dangers. Would you have the strength to keep going, or would fear and exhaustion win in the end? Could you trust your neighbors, or would desperation drive you apart? The story of Roanoke is more than a historical puzzle. It's a human tragedy, a reminder of how fragile hope can be in the face of overwhelming odds. The lost colonists were not just names in a ledger. They were mothers, fathers, children, and friends, each with dreams and fears, each facing the unknown with courage and doubt. As we walk in their footsteps, we're reminded that history is not just about what happened, but about the people who lived, and sometimes disappeared within its shadows. The mystery of Roanoke endures not just because we don't know the answer, but because we can still feel the echo of their struggle. So could you have survived the last days of Roanoke? Or would you too have vanished into the unknown, leaving only questions behind. We've just stepped into the shadows of Roanoke, feeling the weight of its mystery and the hardships that may have driven the colonists to their fate. But to truly understand what they endured, it's not enough to imagine their struggle. We have to live it. Now, let's set the stage for our own journey, as we attempt to recreate the final days of the lost colony. To bring the story of Roanoke to life, we've chosen a place as close as possible to what the colonists would have known: remote, untamed, and unforgiving. Here, surrounded by thick forests and unpredictable weather, we'll attempt to survive as they did, cut off from the comforts of the modern world. We're starting with the bare minimum: no modern tools, no hidden supplies. Just the basics: a few hand-forged axes, some simple knives, and the clothes on our backs. Every meal must be foraged, hunted, or fished. Every drop of water must be found and made safe to drink. Every shelter must be built from scratch, using only what the land provides. The rules are simple but harsh. We can only use what the colonists would have had in 1587. That means no tents, no matches, no canned food. If we want to eat, we'll have to find it. If we want to stay warm, we'll have to build a fire the old-fashioned way. Can you imagine starting over with nothing but your wits and your will to survive? No safety net, no backup plan, just the hope that you can make it through the night. The first challenge is shelter. The ground is hard, the wood is wet, and every hour lost means less protection from the cold and the rain. Already we're feeling the pressure. The colonists would have faced these same struggles, fighting the elements, racing against time, and wondering if they'd made a terrible mistake. It's not just about building a roof over our heads. It's about learning to work together, to share what little we have, and to keep spirits up when things go wrong. Every decision matters. Do we spend our energy on shelter or risk it all searching for food? Do we stay close to the water or move deeper into the woods for safety? Food is scarce. Water is even harder to come by. Every mouthful is a victory, every mistake a potential disaster. As the sun sets on our first day, we're already beginning to understand just how desperate the colonists must have felt. Would you have the patience to keep trying, even as hunger and exhaustion set in? Could you find hope in the face of so much uncertainty? For the original Roanoke colonists, these challenges were not just physical, but emotional. Many had left behind everything they knew: homes, families, even their language and customs. They arrived in a land that was beautiful but bewildering, full of sounds and sights they'd never experienced. The forests seemed endless, the animals unfamiliar, and the weather could turn from gentle to deadly in a matter of hours. Imagine the fear of hearing wolves howling in the night, or the frustration of trying to start a fire with damp wood and flint that barely sparks. Every task takes longer than expected. Building a simple shelter becomes an all-day affair. Gathering enough food for a single meal can take hours, and the results are meager: some wild berries, a handful of clams, maybe a small fish if luck is on your side. The colonists would have faced these same hardships day after day, with no guarantee that tomorrow would be any easier. As night falls, the sense of isolation grows. The darkness is absolute, broken only by the flicker of a small fire. Every sound in the woods becomes a potential threat. For the colonists, the fear of the unknown was constant. Would they be attacked by wild animals? Would a storm destroy their fragile shelters? Would they ever see a ship from England again? How would you cope with the loneliness, the fear, and the endless uncertainty? Would you band together with others, or would desperation drive you apart? Survival in Roanoke depended on more than just individual strength. It required cooperation, trust, and the ability to adapt. Disagreements could quickly turn into arguments, and arguments into divisions. The colonists had to decide: do we stay together and share what little we have, or do we split up and hope for better luck elsewhere? These are the same choices the lost colony may have faced. Some historians believe that small groups left the settlement, hoping to find help from local tribes or to reach safer ground. Others may have stayed, clinging to the hope that rescue would come. As the days pass, the hardships mount. Clothes become torn and dirty. Hands are blistered and sore. Hunger gnaws at everyone, making tempers short and decisions harder. Yet there are moments of hope: a successful fire, a shared meal, a night spent safe from the rain. These small victories are what keep the team going, just as they must have for the colonists. Could you find joy in the little things, even as the world seems to close in around you? Would you have the resilience to keep going, or would the weight of survival be too much? This is just the beginning. The real test lies ahead, as we face the same relentless challenges that may have driven the lost colony to its mysterious end. As we continue our journey, we'll push deeper into the unknown, searching for answers, and perhaps a glimpse of what truly happened to Roanoke. We've set the stage for our Roanoke recreation, stripped of modern comforts, facing the same unforgiving wilderness as the lost colonists. The first night has passed, but the real test is only beginning. Now we step into the daily grind of survival, where every hour is a battle against hunger, the elements, and our own doubts. Morning comes early and harsh. There's no gentle wake-up, just the chill of the air, the ache in your bones, and the gnawing emptiness in your stomach. For the colonists of Roanoke, and for us now, each day begins with a single urgent question. How will we find enough to eat? Foraging is a lesson in humility. The land is not generous. Edible plants are few and far between. Wild berries, bitter roots, maybe a handful of nuts if you're lucky. Every find is precious, but most days the baskets come back nearly empty. The hunger never really goes away. It just becomes a dull ache you learn to live with. Hunting is no easier. The animals here are wary, and our skills are no match for their instincts. We try fishing with sharpened sticks, setting traps for rabbits, even digging for shellfish along the shore. Most attempts end in frustration. A fish slips away, a trap is sprung but empty, and the hours slip by with little to show for the effort. Have you ever gone a whole day without a real meal? Imagine that feeling stretching into days, then weeks. The hunger becomes a constant companion, shaping every thought and every decision. But hunger is only part of the struggle. The weather is a relentless adversary. Rain soaks through our thin clothing, turning the ground to mud and making it nearly impossible to keep a fire going. The cold seeps into our bones at night, and the sun, when it does appear, brings little warmth. There's no escape from the elements. Our shelters, built in haste and with crude tools, offer little protection. Blankets are thin, and every gust of wind threatens to tear the roof away. Sleep is fitful, interrupted by the sounds of the forest and the constant worry that the next storm could wash everything away. The physical toll is visible. Hands are raw from chopping wood and digging for roots. Feet are blistered from days spent searching for food and water. Faces grow thinner, eyes more hollow. Every task takes longer. Every movement feels heavier. The body adapts, but it's a slow, painful process. But perhaps the hardest battle is the one inside. Isolation and uncertainty begin to wear on the mind. The days blur together, each one a repeat of the last. Wake, search, struggle, sleep. Conversations grow shorter. Jokes and laughter fade. Frustration simmers beneath the surface, sometimes boiling over in arguments about food, chores, or the best way to survive. Doubt creeps in. Did we make the right choices? Should we have tried a different spot for shelter or risked more on a hunting trip? The uncertainty is crushing. There's no way to know if tomorrow will be better, or if the struggle will only get harder. How would you cope with the endless uncertainty? Would you find strength in the group, or would the pressure push you to the edge? At night, as the fire dies and the darkness closes in, thoughts turn to home. The colonists must have felt the same, longing for the familiar, for the promise of rescue, for a sign that their suffering would end. But hope is fragile. Each day without relief chips away at the spirit, leaving only the will to survive. Yet, even in the darkest moments, there are sparks of resilience. A shared meal, a word of encouragement, a moment of quiet understanding. These small acts of kindness are what keep the group together, what kept the colonists going, even as the world seemed to turn against them. This is daily life on the edge, pushing the limits of body and mind, testing the bonds of community, and facing the same relentless challenges that may have doomed the lost colony. As we continue, the question remains, how much can a person endure before hope finally runs out? We've seen how daily life in our Roanoke recreation is a constant battle against hunger, the elements, and the weight of uncertainty. But as the days drag on, the struggle only intensifies. Now, we enter the hardest phase of all. When resources run low, setbacks strike without warning, and the true test of resilience begins. Time is the enemy. Each day that passes, our supplies dwindle. The wild berries and shellfish that once seemed plentiful are now scarce. The traps we set come up empty, and the fish no longer bite. Hunger sharpens, turning from a dull ache to a constant gnawing pain. Every member of the group feels it, energy fading, tempers fraying, hope slipping away with each empty meal. We try to stretch what little we have. Meals become smaller, shared in silence. Every crumb is precious. The colonists of Roanoke must have faced the same grim arithmetic, counting out the days their food would last, wondering what they would do when it was gone. Have you ever been truly hungry? Not just skipping a meal, but feeling your body weaken, your mind grow foggy, your patience wear thin? Desperation breeds risk. We debate eating plants we can't identify, knowing that one mistake could mean sickness or worse. Some suggest venturing farther from camp, deeper into the forest, in hopes of finding new sources of food. But every step away from shelter is a gamble, one the colonists would have known all too well. The work grows harder. Even simple tasks, gathering firewood, fetching water, become ordeals. Muscles ache, hands tremble, and the cold seems to seep into our bones. We begin to understand how quickly hope can turn to despair. And then, as if the struggle weren't enough, the unexpected strikes. A sudden storm sweeps through camp, tearing at our fragile shelters and soaking everything we own. The fire goes out, and with it, our only source of warmth and comfort. One of us wakes up shivering, feverish, unable to keep food down. Illness spreads quickly in these conditions, and there's little we can do but wait and hope. The colonists of Roanoke face the same dangers: disease, injury, and the ever-present threat of the unknown. Imagine falling ill in a world without medicine, without doctors, without even the promise of help on the horizon. Wildlife, too, is a constant threat. One night, we're startled awake by the sound of something large moving just beyond the firelight. Another time, a raccoon raids our food stores, leaving us with even less to eat. Every setback feels personal, as if the world itself is conspiring against us. How would you react in the face of so many setbacks? Would you find the strength to keep going, or would you start to lose hope? The days blur together. Hunger, cold, and fear become our constant companions. We begin to understand the desperation that must have gripped the Roanoke colonists, the sense that survival was slipping through their fingers, no matter how hard they tried. And yet, even in the darkest moments, something remarkable happens. A team member shares the last of their food with someone weaker. Another finds the strength to rebuild the shelter after the storm. We lean on each other, drawing strength from the group, refusing to give in to despair. There are tears too, shed in private, away from the group. There are whispered prayers, silent hopes that someone, somewhere, will come to our aid. But there is also a fierce determination, a refusal to let go, even as the odds grow longer. Could you find that same resilience? Would you fight to the last? Or would the hardships break your spirit? The colonists of Roanoke face choices we can barely imagine. Some may have left in search of help, risking everything for a chance at survival. Others may have stayed, hoping against hope that rescue would come. Their fate remains a mystery, but their struggle is all too real, a testament to the limits of human endurance and the power of hope in the face of overwhelming odds. As we push through each hardship, we're reminded that history is not just a story of what happened, but of the people who lived and sometimes died, trying to survive. The true legacy of Roanoke is not just in its mystery, but in the resilience of those who faced the impossible and refused to give up. We've endured hunger, faced the elements, and felt the sting of setbacks, just as the Roanoke colonists might have centuries ago. Our recreation has brought us closer to their reality, but the greatest lesson lies not just in what we suffered, but in what we discovered. Now, as our journey comes to an end, it's time to reflect on what we've learned from Roanoke's enduring mystery. After days of struggle, we've reached the end of our Roanoke recreation. We set out to understand the fate of the lost colonists, and in the process, we found ourselves changed by the experience. So, what did we learn? What truths did we uncover about the people who vanished into history and about ourselves? First, we learned that survival in the New World was a daily battle. The colonists faced relentless hunger, unpredictable weather, and the constant threat of illness or attack. Our own hardships, however brief, gave us a glimpse into the desperation that must have haunted Roanoke. It's easy to see how, as supplies dwindled and hope faded, the colonists might have been forced to make impossible choices, to leave in search of help, to split up, or to seek refuge with local tribes. The word CROATOAN carved into the post may have been a final message, a clue left behind by people pushed to the edge. Could you have made those choices? Would you have risked everything for a chance at survival, or stayed and waited for rescue that might never come? But our journey wasn't just about hardship. It was about resilience, adaptability, and the strength of the human spirit. We learned that even in the darkest moments, hope can survive. A shared meal, a word of encouragement, a small victory. These are the things that keep people going, even when the odds are against them. The Roanoke colonists may have disappeared, but their story is a testament to the courage it takes to face the unknown. We discovered that survival isn't just about food and shelter. It's about community, trust, and the will to keep moving forward. History often remembers the outcome, but it's the journey, the daily struggle, the moments of doubt and hope that truly defines us. The mystery of Roanoke endures because it asks questions we all recognize. How far would you go to survive? What would you sacrifice for a chance at a better life? And perhaps most importantly, what stories are lost when people disappear, and what can we learn by trying to walk in their footsteps? Now, I want to hear from you. What do you think happened to the lost colonists of Roanoke? Do you have your own theory? Or did our recreation change your perspective? Share your thoughts and ideas in the comments below. Let's keep the conversation going, and together, explore the mysteries that history leaves behind. If you found this journey meaningful, please like this video, subscribe to The Forgotten File, and hit the bell icon for more untold stories from the shadows of history. Share this video with friends who love a good mystery and help us keep the spirit of exploration alive. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the heart of Roanoke. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember, some mysteries are meant to be lived, not just solved.